Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's live stream session with me again. Finally, after 2 weeks, we meet again for this Thursday live session. I hope all of you are doing great and practicing PTE as well. So if you are watching us now and joining the live stream session, please comment in the chat box and let me know if you are here. Just chat hi and let's talk with each other. Let me know how you're doing so far, how your PTE practice is going on. How do you feel about the PTE test and the new changes that are coming from November? Feel free to, share your opinion in the chat box and interact a little bit with each other, right? So today's topics are going to be pretty interesting and useful, I believe, for everyone. So if you are someone who hasn't given PTE before or doesn't have much idea what is going on in PTE, we are going to talk a little bit about PTE speaking section. Also, we are going to focus a little bit on describe image. And most importantly, we're going to talk about, again, some common words that have similar meaning in English, but we use those words in completely different context. But as English speakers, we don't know well enough when and where to use those words. So I feel like those things are going to really help all of you who are, learning PTE, learning about English and everything. Last time when I did live stream talking about 13 pairs of words, I got really good feedback from everyone. Like those were really helpful for everyone. They got to learn something new and exciting. So I thought, all right, let's do 10 more pairs for everyone. And see what happens. So let me get started and share my screen with all of you. From comment, hi Tris, I'm excited as well to meet all of you. From Julie, hi Julie, I hope you are doing well. From Fan, hi everyone. Hi Fan, I hope you are doing well as well. And we'll learn something new and interesting from today's live session. So quickly, let me share my screen. But before I do that, just let me know if you're practicing PTE every day or not. I think something is happening with my screen. I think something is happening with my screen. Technology sometimes doesn't go according to our plan. All right, now I think I can share my screen. Okay, cool. All right, okay, let's get started with today's topic. So the first thing that we are going to talk about in today's session are 10 pairs of words, again, which have very close meaning, but meaning-wise, they are different, and context-wise, also different. So we use those two words in so many different ways. All right, so Hi, Tina. Yeah, I was waiting for your text in the chat box. How are you, Tina? Tell me. You are my consistent viewer in every live stream. So if you don't comment in the chat box, I really miss you. All right, okay. Let's start with the first pair of words for tonight, capability and ability. Meaning wise, we feel like it's pretty same, but actually no, there is a slight difference in the meaning, how they are being used in English language. So what is the capability, the meaning of capability, and what is the meaning of ability, and what is the difference between these two words? Let's have a look. So basically, ability means what you can do with your current or at present skill and power. And capability means that this ability, you don't have that yet within you, but with practice, you have this potential to do something. So for example, maybe you do not have the ability to get your desired score at the moment in PTE, but if you keep practicing, follow the right strategies, get instructors' feedback, you have the capability to get what you are aiming for. So ability means your current skill at present, whatever skill or whatever knowledge you have to do something. And capability means the extent of it, even though you don't have this at the moment, but with practice, you can reach your goal. All right. So when you are talking about potential of doing something, even if you can't do that at the moment, you can use that capability. Like, for example, I have the capability of taking, for example, or speaking for 10 hours at a time. At the moment, I don't have that ability to talk in for like 10 hours at a time. But if I keep practicing every day, keep taking classes for like 6 hours, 7 hours every day, at some point, I will be able to speak for 10 hours at a time. So speaking for 10 hours would be my capability, but it's not my ability at the moment. So when you are talking about something that you can do at the present time, you use the word ability. But when you are talking about your potential of doing something with your practice and knowledge and everything, you use the word capability. So both of the words are similar, but not exactly the same. All right. Now let's go and talk about other pair of words. See, look, and watch. All three words mean closely similar thing. We use our eyes to look at something or to say something or to watch something. Now, obviously, there are differences in the meanings. So the first one, when I say, I am seeing something, it means I am not giving any effort. It's just naturally in front of me and I'm just looking at it, okay, without giving any effort. When I say I'm looking at something, it means I am focusing on something. So when I'm sharing my slide and you are looking at it, it means you are giving effort. You are trying to understand what is happening on the slide, what is being shown on the slide. So you're looking at it, you're having concentration at it. And when we say, I'm watching something, it means something is moving in front of you and you are observing that with focus and attention. For example, I am moving consistently. You are watching me. You are not looking at me. You are watching me, but you are looking at my slide. So these are the three things which have different meanings. So see means when you see something naturally without thinking about it, okay? Without giving any effort. Look means when something is not moving, it's still, for example, my slide, or book, or practicing PTE on computer screen. Anything that you look at with focus and concentration, that is look. And watch means when something is in action or moving. For example, you watch television, you watch movie, you watch sports when people are playing on the television screen or computer screen on YouTube. So when something is moving and you're focusing on that, you're giving your attention to understand what is happening here. You use the word watch. So that's the difference between see and look and watch. So these three words we sometimes use interchangeably. We feel like all are same, but it's not actually. Okay. So there are differences in the meaning. So next time when you are writing about it or speaking and you trying to use one of these words, make sure you know what you are doing. If you are focusing on something or you are not focusing on something, and use the appropriate word in that specific context. From Tina, the things couldn't be better. I'm still working with the practices. Yes, Tina, that's what you should be doing, and you're doing it right. Keep practicing. Practice makes everything better, just better. All right. And for you, I would say you are really a hard worker. So best of luck with that. All right. Let's move on and talk about the other pair of words. Can and may. All right. There is a difference between can and may. When sometimes we say I can do it or can I do it, or if I say may I do it, there is a difference. The difference is when you are saying can I do it or can I not do it, it just means questioning your ability of doing something, if you have the ability of doing something. So if I say, can I have a glass of water? It means, can I have like the ability to have a glass of water? But if I say, may I go outside to someone else? It just means I'm asking for permission. So if you are in a classroom, listening to your lecturer and you want to go outside for some reason and you're asking for permission, don't say, can I go outside? Just say, may I go outside? So when you are specifically asking for permission of doing something, you say, may I? But when you want to talk about your ability, or if you have the potential of doing something, then you use can. So if we look at the first picture, on the top one, a child and a conversation between a child, a baby boy, and his grandmother. So the baby boy is asking, can I go outside, grandma? So the grandma is saying, you can, dear, you're just not allowed. So it just means politely saying, yes, you have the ability to go outside, but you are not permitted. So in a polite way, grandma is saying, no, you may not go outside. So that's the difference. Also, another thing is when the grandma is saying, you can, the grandma is subtle, in a subtle way saying that you said it in a wrong way. You are not allowed. It means you don't have the permission of doing something. So they should have used the word may instead of can. So that's the thing. When you are talking with someone or interact with someone and you feel like you need to seek permission from someone about something, use may instead of can. Can is very simple and neutral, but may, the word may, it just means permission. So there's a difference again between can and may. Convince and persuade. So persuade and convincing someone. If I say I am trying to convince someone, or if I say I'm trying to persuade someone, it seems like both are same kind of thing, but they are not same. All right. There is a difference between the word convincing someone and persuading someone. So what is the difference? So convince means making someone believe something, and persuade means talk someone into doing something. Okay. So basically, if you're talking to someone and you want to convince them about your logic, about something that you believe, and you want other person to believe in that as well, you convince them. But if you're talking to someone for them to do something for you or for someone else, then you persuade them. All right. So for example, if you believe the world is going to end in 20 years, all right, and you're talking to someone and they are not believing it at all. They are saying no, there is no possibility the world is going to end in 20 years. Now you want to convince them. So you prove it, you show logic and your reasonings why you think the world might end in 20 years. So this action of trying and using logics is convincing because you are trying to convince them into believing what you believe. But if you want someone to do something for you, for example, you want someone to help you with your homework or your assignment, they are not that free at the moment. They have so many things going on, but you still want them to help you. So you convince them with your words and you persuade them to help you with your assignment because you are trying them to do something for you. So convincing is all about logics and information, and persuading means when you're forcing someone in a very nice way to do something for you. So both are not same. When you're talking about logics and information, you use the word convince. And when you are trying to make someone do something for you or for other people in general, you use the word persuade. So that's the difference between these two words. All right, moving along, tell and say. Now, there are many people who use both words interchangeably, like they don't even know that there is a difference. They think it's all same, tell and say. But no, there is still a difference between tell and say. So what is the difference? When we use the word say, we focus on the fact. We say something. So it's not that when we use the word say, it's not important whom we are talking to. The more important focus is what we are saying. So the information that we are conveying is more important. That thing is important. But when we say tell, then it doesn't matter what I'm saying. The most important thing that matters is to whom I am saying. The person is more important than the topic itself. But when the topic itself is more important than the person, then you use say. For example, Anna said that she was hungry. Rachel says, you have a new car. Jessica said, I like you. So the topic, what they said is more important. They are not saying to whom Anna said she was hungry. Jessica didn't say to whom she said she likes them. So the focus is on the thing that they are saying. But when you pronounce the word tell, you focus also whom you are talking to. So Anna told Mary that she was hungry. Rachel tells me you have a new car. Jessica told Mark that she liked him. So when you use told or tell or will tell, you also want to mention the person you're talking to. But if you don't want to mention the person, you just want to focus specifically on the things that you are trying to say, you just say, said, or will say, or say. All right. So say is to express a thought, an opinion, or a suggestion. So the focus is on the thought, on the opinion, on the facts, not with whom you are discussing this. For tell is to give any information or instruction to a specific person. So the person with whom you are talking then becomes really important. So depending on that, when you are talking to someone and you are trying to say something to them, if you think it's not important with whom you discussed it before, just use the word say. But if you think, no, I want to mention from whom I heard about this thing or with whom I want to discuss these things, then use the word tell, not say. All right, so that's the difference between say and tell. Hear and listen. Again, there is a difference, although it sounds same, having same meaning, but no, there is again a difference between hear and listen. So in the picture, the man is saying, listen to me, but the girl is saying, I cannot hear you, all right? So when I say, listen to me, it means I want you to focus on what I'm saying. So when you are listening something, you are focusing on that. You are showing attention. You are giving concentration to understand something from what people are saying. So listening means giving attention, giving focus into something. But when we say hear, it just means I'm not trying to show any concentration or attention. It's just naturally coming on and popping up on my ear. And I'm naturally hearing about it, even though I'm not trying to hear it intentionally, if that makes sense. So hearing is an event which happens as a natural process. So if you're studying and suddenly you hear a loud noise outside your room, that is hearing, because you didn't focus on that intentionally. Something just happened and you just heard about it. All right, so it's a natural thing. But when you're saying listen, this is an action that we do consciously. So we put our attention into it, we try to understand something and listen to it carefully. So that's listening. So hearing is accidental, involuntary, and effortless. But listening is focused, voluntary, and intentional. So you're intentionally trying to listen. So now at the moment, whoever is watching this live are listening, not hearing, because all of you are trying to give focus and attention into understanding what I'm trying to say, what new thing you may learn out of this live session. So all of you are listening, not hearing. But maybe when you're watching a movie or listening to a song and walking outside, at that moment, maybe you are hearing a song because it's just there. You're just listening to it without paying into attention into the lyrics, into the words and everything. You're just enjoying it. So that's hearing. That's involuntary and effortless. So that's the difference between hearing and listening. So it all depends on your purpose and intention, how you are taking things. If it's unintentional, it's hearing. If it's intentional, it's listening. All right, okay. Toward or towards. The word is same, just one without S and one with S. Now, what is the difference between two words? There is no difference, all right? The only difference between toward and towards is the S. Both spellings are correct and they mean the same thing. So when I say I am going towards that direction, it just means towards means going in a specific direction. And toward and towards both mean the same thing. All right, there is no difference. The only difference is toward is used in America and in Canada. Towards with an S in the end is used in Australia and also in London, in United Kingdom. So that's the only style difference, but meaning-wise and spelling-wise, both are correct. So next time, if you're confused which one to use, toward or towards, you can safely use either one because both are correct. And both have the same meaning. It's just one is American and one is British. So in PTE, if you follow American English, when you are writing everything in American spelling, maybe write toward and not towards. And also in the speaking section, when you are trying to speak and talking about something in detail lecture or describing image, just use toward if you're an American spelling follower. Otherwise, you can also talk about towards as well, use towards as well. That's fine. All right, break and break. Obviously, from the picture, we can see there's a difference. Break, B-R-E-A-K, break. We all know the meaning, breaking into small particles. And B-R-A-K-E, break, that means what? That means there is something in the car that we press when we are driving and want to stop somewhere, right? That's brake. But brake has other meaning as well. So brake, B-R-A-K-E, brake, that means slowing down. When you're running in a rush, when you are driving in a rush, or maybe you are not even driving, you don't have to be in a car. You may be doing something in a rush and you want to slow things down. Then you can say brake, B-R-A-K-E. So brake means slowing down the process. And B-R-E-A-K, brake, that we all know that. Breaking a window, breaking a car, it just means breaking down into small particles and damaging of something, some kind, right? So that's the difference between break and break. All right, from the comment from Trung, hi. What is the difference between everyday and everyday? Right, Trung, good question. And if I remember correct, in our last live stream, I went through this topic, these two words, every day without any space in the middle and every day with a space in the middle. So there is a difference. So when you use every day without any space in the middle, we use that as an adjective, okay? Like everyday news, everyday study, everyday music. So when you are trying to say something which you do on a regular basis, and you are trying to use the word as an adjective before the noun, then you use the everyday without any space in the middle. But if you are trying to use the word not as an adjective, like just to show what you do on a regular basis, like I go for a morning walk every day, or I go to office at 9 o'clock every day. So when you're using every day at the end of the sentence, just to show the frequency of doing something, then we use every day with space in the middle. Okay, but if you're trying to show the quality of something, if that's regular in your life, like everyday news, as I said, using that before the noun to show the quality of the noun, then you use every day without any space. I hope that answers your question, Trung, and you're not confused anymore. If you are, just let me know. I'm gonna explain it again, maybe. All right, so after break and break, let's see what word we have. All right, this one, raise and rise. Now again, we use these two words interchangeably, but there is a difference. When we say raise, the first one, R-A-I-S-E, raise, it means you're holding something and you're trying to move that up. For example, from Trung, it's okay, thanks. No problem, Trung. So I hope that clarifies your confusion. All right. Yeah, that's better, Trung, that you understand it better. If you're still confused, you can always just go to Google, right? Search for everyday and everyday with a space, and they will clarify for you as well. But in a nutshell, that's the difference. Every day without space is adjective, and every day with a space, you use that at the end of a sentence just to show frequency, how frequent you do something. All right, okay, coming back to the point, raise and rise. So R-A-I-S-E, raise, that means moving something up. For example, you raise your hand, or maybe you raise a table or a book. So when you are lifting something from a lower position to a higher position, then you use raise. On the opposite side, rise. Rise means where you don't have to lift anything, all right? It happens naturally. It's a natural phenomenon. So for example, sea levels rise every year. So sea levels keep increasing every year. You don't have to lift that sea level. You don't have to lift waves to increase its level, right? You don't have to do anything. It's a natural process. The sun rises at 7 o'clock in the morning. So again, sun naturally rises, it moves up. We don't do anything for that. So that's rise. So that's the difference. When you are talking about something that you do, you increase, or you have any kind of influence, you use raise. But when it's a natural phenomenon, it happens naturally, that's when you use rise. So that's the difference between raise and rise. And there's a difference in pronunciation and past tense as well. If you can say, for raise, the past tense is raised and raised, past tense and past participle. For rise, past tense is rose and past participle is risen. So again, the past tense is going to be different. The pronunciation is also different for both words, and meaning wise, there's subtle difference as well. Right, okay. This one is not two words having different meaning. It's just a way we use timing in our writing. So when you are mentioning any kind of timing in anywhere you write, it can be in PTE or it can be in normal writing. I see many people make this mistake. For example, they say the party will be from 5:30 and then hyphen 6:30. This is basically a wrong way of writing timing, okay? So if you want to use from, you also have to use to. You can't use hyphen. You have to say the party will be from 5:30 to 6:30. If you do not want to use from, that's fine. Then you can use hyphen. So you can say the party will be 5:30 p.m. hyphen 6:30 p.m. Then you don't have to use from or to, either one. Also, another way of using the timing is you can say the party will be between 5:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. So the rule is, if you want to use from, you also have to use to. If you're using between, you have to use and. But if you don't want to use anything, you just simply use hyphen. But you can't mix and match, like using from and then not using to, using between but then not using and using hyphen. That's a wrong way of writing timing. So it doesn't matter if you're writing in PTE essay or write from dictation. Anytime they can give you time. Even in write from dictation, sometimes they mention time. In that case, just keep in mind the right format of mentioning timing anywhere where you write. And also the same is for speaking. When you're talking to someone about timing, make sure you use from and then to and then between and. Don't miss either one. All right, so this is another thing. Now we are done with that part. 10 words, 10 stuff we have confusion about. So we have covered that part. Now let's move on to speaking section. So we're gonna focus 6 mistakes that we make in describe image. Now, describe image is obviously not one of the very top rated important questions from PTE, obviously, but we can't neglect this one, right? We have to speak and we have to answer these questions when it comes in our PTE test. And describe image gives you a lot of points for fluency and pronunciation in speaking section. So when I listen to students' answers, I feel like there are so many things that need improvement. Even if I keep speaking and keep talking about all these things, but they keep still making the same mistakes. So I feel like, all right, let's go through these mistakes. I hope you can learn from something from this. So number one mistake that people do is not utilizing the preparation time. So before they show you the, after they show you the picture, before they turn on the microphone, you get some seconds. It can be, for example, maybe I think 20 to 25 seconds. I can't remember exactly how many seconds you have, but you get some seconds, more than 10 seconds. And then people just keep staring at the picture and do nothing about it. That's a wrong way of preparing for describe image. If you do that, what will happen? When you start speaking, you will get stuck. You can't remember how to organize your information. And even if you are seeing things in front of you on the picture, sometimes even then you struggle into constructing a sentence. So my suggestion would be use that preparation time wisely. Now you can ask me how to do that. All right. So what I'll suggest is when you look at the image, ask yourself, what is the main topic of the image? So whatever picture they give you, there will be a theme, there will be a topic. Sometimes they also include a heading or subheading of a graph or a line graph, pie chart. Like, what is the main topic of the graph? What is the main information in this pie chart? Or if they show you some kind of like life cycle or something, they will show you the life cycle of frog or life cycle of a butterfly. Or if they're talking about a procedure, like how coffee is prepared in a factory and then is moved to supermarket. So if they're talking about a process or procedure of doing something, they also include that. Even if they don't include that, you can understand that from the picture, right? So when you're looking at the picture, look with some intention, like why I'm looking at it. What is the message the picture is giving me? What is the main topic? What are the key points that I can correlate with each other from the picture? Think about all these things within that preparation time. Use your notebook to note down key ideas and phrases. So I know within those few seconds, it's not possible to write sentences, but I would strongly suggest to write down keywords, especially if you get a picture with nothing written on it. So sometimes they give you simply a picture of a road, of a gadget, of something, of a building without anything written on the picture. So that's the kind of questions you struggle because you don't know what to say or how to say it. You struggle in constructing your sentences. So what happens is your fluency goes down. You hesitate a lot, you mumble a lot, and then you struggle to look for words that appropriately explain what you are saying, what you are seeing and trying to say. So if this is a picture, something like that, that you are struggling to come up with ideas with, write down keywords in your notepad. And when the microphone is on and you're speaking, look at those keywords because those words are going to help you keep speaking and moving on and building sentences out of scratch. So taking notes is important. Don't just sit and relax during that preparation time because that's just a waste of time. Second one, not having an introduction. All right, so sometimes what happens is people just get the picture, then the microphone is turned on and they start speaking without giving any overview of what is the picture all about. What is the main thing happening in the picture? So if you don't do that, it may cost you some points, all right? So maybe you include a simple introduction in your response before you start speaking about common trends, key trends, common information, key information. Before going into details and nitty-gritties, include a very simple introduction, like what you are seeing in the picture. What is the main theme of the picture? Talk a little bit about that, and then you start talking about trends and everything else. So you can simply read the title or topic of the image in your introduction. So sometimes, in case they have included a title or a heading or a topic name in the picture, you can simply read that out. This will create an overview of the image and will help you to get a better score in the content. All right, so in describe image, in retail lecture, in all these question types, you have some points, you have 5 points for content. So the better you talk about the picture, the more you take information from the picture, the better your score would be in content. And as a result, good score in speaking overall. So instead of first talking about what is the trend happening, first talk about what is the title, what is the topic, what is the main theme of it, and then you move on into details. So please include an introduction next time you start talking about any image in describe image question types. Then is having conclusion, not having a conclusion. So sometimes this is very common. People start speaking, even if they include an introduction, then talk about trends, they run out of time, they run out of 40 seconds, and they abruptly finish their response without having any conclusion into it, which is going to be a dangerous mistake, all right? Please include a conclusion in your speaking. If you see time is running, you don't have much time, even then just include one line conclusion at the end of your speaking answer, and that should be fine as well. But try to include a conclusion and an introduction in the beginning of describe image and a conclusion at the end of your response. So the algorithm, the computer's algorithm, the AI of PTE system, that algorithm simply needs the conclusion at the end, because it wants to see if you have completely responded, if you have given a proper response. And how do we define a proper response? How do we know it's a proper response? The only way of understanding and locating if something is proper or not is having, if it has a proper beginning, if it has the proper ending, and in the middle, if they have talked enough about the key information from the image. So when you are not using conclusion, when you are not using introduction, the computer thinks that it's not a very well-rounded response. This person is missing out on some key information, and then it gives you less points in content. So your conclusion should be around 6 to 7 seconds long. So when you are trying to speak and you see you're running out of time and you need to finish your response, please at the end, at least speak for one sentence using, use one sentence for conclusion. And if you properly speak one sentence for conclusion, it will take 6 to 7 seconds either way. So do that. So you can say, overall, this picture is informative. In conclusion, the picture is informative. Or to conclude the picture or the bar chart or the pie chart or this building image or this procedure or the life cycle of butterfly, whatever picture they have given you, you can say this is very informative or very insightful. Lots of information can be taken from this picture. From Julie, what happened if the image has too many words? Do we only say the main words? Well, Julie, for me, I would say yes. So if this is a bar graph or pie chart with lots of information written already in the picture, then maybe you waste less of your time and energy into thinking about key trends and stuff. You can just simply read out all the keywords and information that are written in the text. Sorry, not in the text, in the picture. And that should be fine. But even then you have to talk about a little bit introduction and in the end a conclusion. Okay. Now, whatever words that are written down already in the picture, you have to see if those are enough, like if those are covering all the important information. Sometimes they just include a heading or in the bar graph, what are the things that are being measured, like boys and girls, men or women, years and months. If that's the only thing that is written, maybe you have to cover a little bit more from the picture to get full points in content. But if you see they have mentioned so many different years, so many different percentages for men and women, and you can also clearly see from the picture, for men, what is the highest percentage? What is the lowest percentage? For women, what is the highest and lowest percentage? Maybe you simply just add that. So yeah, it just depends on the kind of picture and the kind of information they have given you. But if it's enough, then maybe you don't have to draw like your own logical explanation about key trends. Maybe you just read out everything that is written, and that should be fine. So one thing that I say every time I teach describe image is that if you're using your brain too much, you are doing it in a wrong way. All right. Describe image should be very simple, not very complicated. It wasn't supposed, the PTE hasn't given you this one for you to become an analytic, because you are not an analytic. All right. You are not here to analyze the picture, dissect it into little bit pieces and talk about every silly details. PTE doesn't expect that from you. What PTE wants from you is that when you look at the picture, what you see, what you feel, and what you think, without thinking too much about it, because PTE also knows you have only 40 seconds. It's not enough to talk about every detail in the picture, right? So we have to have realistic expectation from ourselves. Don't worry too much about all the details. Don't use too much of your energy and brain when you are trying to respond in describe image. If you feel like you're going to struggle in this picture because there is not enough words, in preparation time, take notes. Write down all the relevant words that you can use to talk about that picture. And that should be more than enough. Alrighty, so that's mistake number 3, not having a conclusion. Let's talk about mistake number 4. Ignoring the key information. So what does it mean? It means even if you have, like, what people do is they talk about introduction, they talk about conclusion, all right? In the middle, they go so complex in their response. They start talking about what happened in 2009, what happened in 2010, what happened in 2011. Like, they start to talk about every single thing and they start to analyze every single thing. And when they start doing things, what happens, you can guess. They hesitate, they mumble. Their fluency becomes really, really slow. And they become so nervous while thinking and speaking at the same time. It becomes a mess, all right? And we should not do the same mistake. So by ignoring the key information and trying to overly analyze things, you are making a mistake. So the key information for you should be, firstly, look at the picture, look at the top, look at the bottom, look at the right, look at the left, and draw out everything that is written. Your first goal would be to read out everything that is written in the picture. And then if you still have time, then talk about, analysis, talking about trends and little stuff. Your first priority is not talking about what happened to men and women every year, what was their percentage, and trying to make a sentence about each trend. That's not your goal. Your first goal is reading aloud all the information that you can see when you look at the picture. And after that, if you still have time, then go for other details, other minor details. What happened to men in 2010? What happened to women in 2010? And all those things. So don't ignore key information. Look at the picture first. Look at all the information they have given you to help you out. Take that help. And after that, if you still think you have time to speak, then talk about other things that are less important, just to fill up the time. But don't go directly into that and, cost your fluency, because fluency is more important than content. All right. So that's mistake number 4. And we should not do that. Mistake number 5, hesitating and self-correcting. So that's what happens when you start to talk about every single detail about a picture and analyze all the trends. Now, I am not against talking about trends. I am for talking about trends only when you are talking about highest trend, lowest trend. That's it. So if you're doing and talking about all the individual trends, that's the wrong thing, and I'm not for that style. All right. And when you do that, what happens? You hesitate, you self-correct yourself, and that's another mistake, because that's also gonna lower down your fluency score. When you're trying to make up a sentence, when you're trying to build a sentence all by yourself, while looking at the picture, you hesitate, you make grammar mistake, you make vocab mistake, like you can't find a proper word for it, and then you are struggling to look for it, and then it doesn't come in your mind, and you hesitate, you become nervous. All the things go wrong when you start doing these things. So your fluency goes down then. right? And also you self-correct. You may say, I go there, but you know you have to talk in past. Then you again correct yourself and say, I went there. This thing, when you are speaking and then coming back and correcting yourself again, this thing you should avoid doing. Even when you realize you're making a mistake, calm down and keep speaking. So if you see one sentence you said in a wrong way, all right, that's okay. Finish that sentence. And then in the next sentence, say it in a correct way. But don't say half of the sentence in a wrong way and then going back and correcting and then say it again. That's a wrong way of fixing your problems and your mistakes in speaking section. This rule is applicable for written lecture as well. When you're saying words from the audio and you see you are saying wrong words, instantly don't correct yourself. Finish that sentence and start another sentence in the correct way. Okay, because otherwise your fluency is going down. And also to some extent it impacts your pronunciation as well, because you are saying half of so many words, the computer doesn't even understand what you're trying to say, what is happening to you, what is wrong with you, and then it cannot track all the clear words you're pronouncing. So it impacts your pronunciation as well. So don't hesitate, don't self-correct yourself. And to avoid hesitation, as I said, look for the words that are already there in the picture. Don't think too much about it, because that's the wrong way of doing describe image. And to avoid self-correction, if you're saying something wrong, finish that sentence and then begin another sentence in a right way, in a right manner, with right words and right grammar. But don't go halfway and then come back and then fix your mistake and then go again. Don't do that one. Last mistake that people do is speaking for like less than 30 seconds in describe image. Maybe from now, like in last 5-6 years ago, if you talk for like 25 seconds, that was more than enough to get 79 plus, 80 plus, or maybe 70 plus. Like a higher score. But now PTE has become smart, right? Because PTE has understood people use these hacks to get higher score in fluency, in pronunciation, in content. So for now, it will not give you a good score if you speak for less than 30 seconds. Ideal response should be in between 30 to 35 seconds. Don't take 40 seconds, because when you speak for 40 seconds, what happens? There is a danger, like your last few words may not be recorded. There is a danger you may not include a conclusion. There are lots of wrong things that can happen if you just go for till 40 seconds is up. So don't go for that. When you're speaking in your microphone, on the screen, you can see how your timing is running. When you see the bar is about to reach the end, you realize that 40 seconds is coming to end. I need to wrap up my answer, and quickly just say a conclusion sentence and move up, like move next, click next and do the next question. Don't wait for the microphone to, turn off, because there is then a risk that maybe your last few words will not be recorded. Maybe you say the conclusion sentence, but it wasn't recorded because you went more than 40 seconds. Okay, so when you're practicing at home, maybe you set a timer and see what is like, how long is 30 to 35 seconds. If you practice, like, for example, 20 describe image questions with a timer set up for like 35 seconds for each question, even then you become so habituated to it. Even if you don't have a timer in front of you, you realize how lengthy is 35 seconds for you to speak. Because 35 seconds for me can be different from 35 seconds for you, depending on our speaking speed, depending on our fluency and pronunciation. So when you practice with timer for like 20 describe image questions, after that, even if you don't set a timer, even if you're not looking at the screen, you realize when you have finished 35 seconds, and then you then can be rest, in relax that, yeah, I did it in the right way. I didn't stop talking before 30 seconds. And I also didn't end, when it is about to be 40 seconds. I was in the middle, in between 30 to 35 seconds. So everything that I said has been recorded, and it's there. So there is nothing to worry about it. Okay. But yeah, when you're practicing, don't settle for 25 seconds. It's not enough. The same for retail lecture as well. 30 to 35 seconds is the standard timing for now. Anything less than 30 seconds puts you in risk of losing point for content, for fluency, and also for pronunciation. Right, so these are the 6 mistakes that happen. Now let's quickly go on for 5 other mistakes on speaking section in general. So this can happen for read aloud. This can also happen for describe, image, and retail lecture as well. Speaking too fast, all right? Don't speak too fast. Too fast doesn't mean you are having great fluency, all right? You can speak in a very measured way, in a very natural way, and still you can score 5 out of 5 in fluency. Some people think the faster I speak, the better I score for fluency, which is a very wrong concept, all right? Don't speak too fast. The way you speak with other people in your own mother language, in the same way speak in English, in a very natural way, in a very relaxing way. But that doesn't mean you have to speak in a tortoise way, like in a very slow way. That's a different thing. Just be natural, all right? Don't give extra effort to go faster than normally you do. So don't speak too fast. That's a wrong thing. Also, it becomes really hard for the computer AI if you speak too fast to track all of your words. And in that case, you will lose so many points in pronunciation. So don't speak too fast in read aloud, in describe image, or in retail lecture. Second one, speaking with erratic fluency. So what happens is, especially in read aloud, people start with so much good fluency in the beginning, and they go slow, and they go down. Their fluency goes down in the middle of it when the sentence becomes very complex, or they read a word which is very hard to pronounce. What happens is, like the picture, you can see the top one and the middle one, the wave is very erratic. It's going up and down so fast. When this happens, it shows the computer that you are not a very fluent speaker. Okay, you make a lot of mistakes. Your fluency level should be stable, like the third graph, the last graph on this slide. So even if there is up and down happening, that is in a very stable way, right? The first 2 waves are very erratic. They are going up and dramatically going down, and then dramatically again going up. So if that is what happens, it means your response is not a very good response. Okay. So how do you do that? How do you keep it in a stable way? So the way you start your reading read aloud, you should end in the same way as well, in the middle or in the end or in the beginning. Don't change your fluency. Don't change your pace from normal to going too fast or from normal to going too slow. Keep your pace throughout the whole speaking section. That's the consistency, and that consistency is the key. From Julie, during PTE test, do other test takers speak at the same time as we do? If so, is it going to be noisy? Yes, Julie, unfortunately, yes. When you do a speaking section, other people are doing the speaking section as well. Maybe it can be like 5-10 minutes more or less. So when one person is starting, it doesn't mean other person is starting at the same time. Maybe they are 2-3 minutes late or earlier. But roughly, everyone will begin with speaking section. So more or less, yeah, that's true. And it's going to be noisy and distracting. Yes, that's right. But the good thing is, because of COVID, the number of people in a one room has been reduced. Earlier, it used to be like 10 people. Now it's maybe maximum 5 people with very, too much space in the middle, in between 2 test takers. So maybe now it's less noisy and less distracting, but yeah, there will be some noise, all right? And you should be all right with that, because they give you a noise canceling headphone, most probably you will not be hearing too much noise or speaking from other people. But yeah, you will be still able to hear something, and you have to work around that. Okay, but don't worry, computer knows which one is your voice, which one is other people's voice. They will cancel out other people's voice if that come in the microphone. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Computer knows that. All right, so we are done with this. Using too many fillers. So when you're speaking with the normal people, or even when now I'm speaking with all of you, I'm using well, like, right? Because that's the natural way of speaking, and that's how native speakers speak. When we are trying to think something before we say, we use well, anyway, all this stuff. But when it comes to PTE test, don't do that. Okay, because when you do that, PTE AI regards it as a hesitation, and then give you less points for fluency. So PTE is testing how quickly and how accurately you can catch up with any content and use as less fillers as you can. So this is probably not a very nice way and nice idea to use lots of fillers. You have to just use keywords, important words related to the question, related to the topic when you're speaking, without using any well, like all these kinds of fillers. Okay, this is another thing. Using colloquial language. So what happens is when we are talking with other people in a normal conversation, we use casual language, we use informal language, and that's fine. We use contraction as well. But when it comes to PTE speaking, we have to use formal and academic language. Okay, so we can't use words like gonna, wanna, I wanna go there, or something like that. I have to say, I want to go there. So using slangs or using colloquial language is not acceptable. Also, in some situations, you may not also use the word like kid. You have to use child or children, because kid or kids is informal, and we don't use those things in formal academic text, academic test. So when you're trying to use any of these type of words which has an informal version and a formal version, go for the formal version. And the same is true for writing section as well. When you are writing your essay, when you're writing your summary, don't use informal or colloquial language. Use formal and academic language. Okay, don't use gimme, kinda, wanna, gonna, all this stuff. So yeah, that's one thing. And the last bit is speaking in fragments. So what happens is, as I said before, people start speaking and they go in the middle of the sentence. They realize they make a mistake, or they say the sentence in a way which is inappropriate. They go back, they do not even finish that sentence. They start from the beginning again. So this is called speaking in fragments, like breaking things down into part by part. And this is absolutely a very big mistake, especially for describe, image, and retell lecture. Because PTE requires you, PTE expects you to speak in complete sentences, even if you're making mistake. So even if you feel like you have missed a word, or even if you feel like the way you said it, it isn't right or best, maybe you can rephrase it using other words or other phrases. Or maybe even if you feel like, I'm not pretty sure about what I'm talking about, maybe I have to start from the beginning again. It doesn't matter what is your reason. Finish what you started, all right? What you have started. Finish that sentence, finish that part, and then start new with right information, the correct word or correct grammar in a new sentence. But don't just leave sentences in the middle, because that's gonna impact, again, your fluency and pronunciation. So basically, these are the 5 things you have to focus throughout your speaking section for all the question types. And the other ones for describe image specifically we talked about include introduction, include conclusion, include key information from the image that they have already written it down for you, and don't try too hard to go into details and start analyzing every single thing that you see in the picture. You don't need to do that. Okay, the main important thing in your speaking section is fluency and pronunciation. Other things matter, but not as much as fluency and pronunciation do. So focus more on these two things compared to other stuff, compared to content. All right. I think that's it for today, and I hope this session was useful and you got to learn something new or cleared your confusion. If it was, just let me know in the chat, like if it helped you or you got to learn something or clarified any of your confusion. That would be great feedback for me personally. Okay, time to read some comments. From Julie, thanks for informative session. Yay, I'm so glad, Julie, that you got to learn something, maybe. From Tris, it's very clear and useful. Yay, I'm happy. From Trung, you're most welcome, Trung. I hope the session was useful for you as well, Trung. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen. All right, I'm just waiting for some other comments. It's time to back to PTE learning. Yes, that's absolutely right. You need to practice. Like there are so many people, they know a lot about PTE test. They know all these strategies and tips and tricks, but because they don't practice, they don't know how to implement those strategies. So it's really important to practice and learn things and implement things. Anyway, so if there is no more question for me, I'll see you next week, hopefully, and I'll try to cover some other important aspects of PTE and English in general. All right. Till then, stay safe and wait for our next live session. I'll see you again next Thursday. Bye.